This is the VoiceOver Marketing Podcast, episode number 17.
I have grown a goatee.
Are you bold enough?
Hello and welcome to this episode of the VoiceOver Marketing Podcast. My name is John Melly, and this is the podcast dedicated to teaching in-depth and advanced marketing strategies for people in the voiceover and audio production professions. My goal is to help you make more money by showing you ways to leverage your time, charge more for your talents, and allow you to spend more time doing the things you want to do in your life. Hey there, it's John. Welcome to this episode. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I do appreciate it. We have crossed the magic number of 10,000 downloads. As of this recording, we have had 10,053 downloads of all the different VoiceOver Marketing Podcast episodes. Special thanks to Mark Scott and Derek Chappell for their tweets in support of that goal. I put a tweet out, I think last week, saying we were really close to crossing 10,000. They were like, yeah, man, go for it. So anyway, thank you guys. Also want to give a quick shout out to Leonida Crawford and Ernie Goyette, who have recently joined the VoiceOver Marketing Podcast Facebook group. Welcome. Thanks for doing that. Feel free to share the VoiceOver Marketing Podcast Facebook group with others. Also, I got a special message from Marion after I published the last episode 16. And her message was, "Ha, John, you forgot to say my name in the podcast. I was looking forward to seeing how you'd pronounce it." Well, Marion, it's easy. It's Marion. I don't think that's what she's looking for. Her last name, I'm going to go out on a limb here, Marion, and I'm going to say it's Bouquet, like a bouquet of flowers. But if you want to Americanize it, maybe it's Bouquet. But since from your Facebook page, I see that you're living in France, I'm going to go with Bouquet. You can message me and let me know how I did. Anyway, love to hear from everybody. Your comments, feedback, fun little pokes, all that kind of good stuff. Just love to have you reach out. You can do that through the podcast homepage at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. Also on the Facebook group at VoiceOver Marketing Podcast Facebook group. And also, if you go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com, you'll see on the right-hand side an orange button that says Leave Us a Message. And this also works on your iPhone as well. If you go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com, you'll see an orange button that appears on the right-hand side of your screen. You click it. You use the microphone that's attached to your computer or built into your smartphone, and you can leave me a voice message directly, and it's totally free. I would love to hear from you. And I don't know many voice people who are at a loss for words, so feel free to go ahead and use SpeakPipe, and we can get you in the show. Last episode, I spent a lot of time talking about how important it is to maintain our health and keep the body healthy in order to perform our jobs as voiceover talent. And so in a continuing effort to eat healthy, I've actually started a vegetable garden this year. I started broccoli plants from seed from broccoli seeds that I harvested from last year's broccoli. I just grew a couple of plants, and that was a lot of fun. And it was delicious, too. And I've got some potatoes. I've got red potatoes, russet potatoes, and purple potatoes growing. We've planted some pepper. I've got some purple pepper plants. Peter Piper picked a peck of purple peppers. Never mind the pickled peppers. All right, we'll stop. Peppers, green peppers, organic peppers, and also some organic corn. And I think Ann wants to plant some carrots, and we'll be doing some kale and all that kind of stuff. But it's a lot of fun. You kind of get lost in the activity as you're doing it. Never realized how attached I'd get to these little plants. It's fun. It's like I'm doing a dance over these plants. So that's what's going on. Maybe I'll take some pictures and put them up on the show notes for this episode. So episode 17, last episode in the opening remarks, I mentioned that I'm trying to move to a weekly format of the podcast. So this is episode 17 in an effort to accomplish that goal. And I'm going to share with you some thoughts about how to handle projects or clients that come to you with projects that you might have a hard time doing. It happens. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I will share some thoughts and a story with you. I'll be right back. Attention men, have you lost your back hair? Are you embarrassed to go topless on the beach because of unsightly bare naked shoulder blades? Are you tired of the chafing and itching caused by your shirts rubbing directly on your skin? If so, you need the Hirsutamax system. The Hirsutamax system is a clinically proven system to restore the lost hair to your back and arms caused by early adolescence, shaving, excessive use of hair removal creams, or silly laser hair removal treatments. Hirsutamax system clinicians are highly trained doctors who surgically transplant your own living hair from your thighs and calves directly into your shoulder blade and lower back areas using state-of-the-art digital technology in pristine portable surgical suites that can be set up in the comfort of your own home or office cubicle. Look and feel like a man again with your own living growing back hair. No more embarrassing bald shoulder blades. No more chafing and stubble. No more creams. And no more lasers zapping your body. For special treatment package offers or to find a location near you, visit Hirsutamax.com. Well, welcome back. Yes, I produced that for my own savage amusement. We've been running a lot of commercials that it's like there's been a war declared on hair, and I decided to say something about that. At any rate, so the topic for today is how to handle projects that are against your morals or your ethics or your values. And if you've been in the voiceover world for any length of time, really in any business, if it hasn't happened already, most likely you will eventually be approached by a prospective client or an organization or business advocating something that might not square with your morals, your values, your ethics or beliefs, etc. I've seen posts and comments about this in some of the different voiceover forums, and sometimes the debate or the discussion, for a better word, centers on something like, if you're a professional, you sometimes need to set your personal feelings aside and do the job, because that's what's called for. And while that might work sometimes, I believe you need to be true to yourself. So what might go against your morals or ethics and beliefs might not be a problem for someone else. Everyone sees the world through their own lens due to their particular set of experiences throughout life and what they were taught and all that. So what you object to might be perfectly acceptable to others. But if you're in business for yourself, I believe you have the right to choose to work with the people you want to work with. And I also believe you always do a better job for clients when you feel good about the projects you work on for them. Personally, I need to look myself in the mirror, and if something is really bothering me, if I'm having a real struggle with my feelings toward working on a particular project, I've got to examine my gut there. And taking work just for the money, in my opinion, is scarcity thinking. It means that you think that there's not an awful lot of opportunity out there. I better take this. Even though I'm not crazy about it, I better take it because I want the money or I need the money. I believe there's always more opportunity in areas that you're comfortable working in. There's always opportunity. So I'm going to share with you a story. You may or may not have the same conflict that I do. Like I said before, I approached this situation from my set of life experiences and different factors within my life. So this may or may not apply to you, but I do think there are, and what I want to do is share with you 7 things that I think you should do when something does kind of stir up those feelings in you that you're not very comfortable working on something on that. So let me share with you the experience, and then I'll talk about the 7 things I think you should do. So I have a client that I've done a number of projects for over a number of years, and this client has been thrilled with my work, so much so that they've promoted my products and services to others. And this client is an attorney, and they offered to promote my services to other attorneys all around North America. And for those of you who are interested in a marketing tactic here, let me step aside from the story for a second and explain to you what this is all about. A very powerful marketing technique is to get an endorsed mailing. And what that is that a client or someone you know who has influence with other people will write a letter on your behalf promoting your products and services. And it's even better if they are a customer of yours as well. So the letter quickly would go something like, dear friend or dear colleague, I just wanted to tell you about product and service that John Melly has provided for me. Insert your name there, not mine. And I've been thrilled with it. I think you could benefit greatly from it. If you want to contact John, here's how to do that. And then they could put an order form in there with it. Now, the arrangement is that I pay referral fees to people who do endorsed mailings to me. It's a very powerful way to get credibility very quickly with prospective clients. It's called an endorsed mailing, and I've done a number of those with all kinds of different businesses. Okay, back to the story. So this client wrote an endorsed mailing for me and sent it out to their list of other attorneys. And I got contacted by an attorney, and I'm not going to say where in North America this attorney is, but their practice is helping people get off DUI or DWI charges, driving under the influence charges. And essentially, my product and service helps different business owners position themselves as experts and helps market their businesses. So, what's my conflict? Well, many years ago, I had a cousin who was killed by a drunk driver, and that impacted me greatly. Another thing is my wife, Ann, does drug and alcohol education at the university level. She does a lot of peer education. She is on some national committees at the college level about drinking and alcohol and drug use on college campuses and how to help students make healthy decisions in those areas, among many other things. She's done an awful lot of work in that area, and I've actually done voiceover and production work for those organizations as a result of Ann mentioning me to them. So, what did I do? As you can hear in my voice, it was kind of a difficult situation because the conflict that I have is my original client has been so supportive of me and promoting me that I didn't want to come across as ungrateful or obstructive or difficult to do business with. At the same time, I wasn't comfortable taking money from something like that to help produce something that would help people get off drunk driving charges. Now, I'm all for due process. I'm all about innocent until proven guilty. I think everybody has a right to the best defense that they can and a right to a trial by jury. I believe in the American system of justice. But I also know that personally, about 95+% of people who get pulled over for a DUI charge were doing something stupid. And I didn't really want to help that out. That's me. And I spoke with Ann about it. I said, here's the situation. Now, you have to understand, Ann is a rock for my business. She is there. She's always supported me. She has gotten on a plane and taken some of her time to be with me at trade shows, to work trade show booths and promote my products and services to different audiences. She's done mailings for me. She's entered information into my database. Anytime I ask her something, she's like, sure, whatever you want to do, that's great. This time I said, here's the situation. And the question was that the only area of law that they practice? And I said, I believe that's the case. And she said, can I think about it? And that's all I needed to hear. I knew in my gut that I didn't want to do this project. But for her to ask to think about it and not just say, sure, go right ahead, that had never happened before. And I said, you know what? I just can't do it. And I shouldn't say what I just said, can't do it. I'm going to talk about language in a moment. But can't isn't something you should say. More on that in a minute. But when she said, can I think about it? I knew right then that this wasn't going to happen. I just needed to figure a way to have a conversation with the person that was doing the endorsed mailing for me. Kind of tricky, huh? Yeah. So here are 7 things you should do. First of all, determine how much of a conflict there is. That may sound simple, but I think you need to weigh a lot of factors. I took into consideration my personal feelings, my life experiences, and my gut reaction to working on a project like this. I also consulted with Anne. She's the most important person in my life, and I need to honor her work. And I felt on some level, if I were to work on something like this, I would be undermining her efforts in other ways. So I want to do that. The other thing is she's not an impartial person. She's got her knowledge in drug and alcohol education that she brings to the table. So determining how much of the conflict there is, talk to the people who are important to you and how your decision may impact them. So I had determined that there's a conflict. I think the second thing you can do is bounce the situation off an impartial, trusted advisor. So I have a business coach. His name is Rob Berkeley, and he was interviewed for episode 10, The Power of Planning and Having a Vision for Your Business. But I spoke with Rob, and I said, here's the situation. He said, John, this is a difficult situation, but I think you need to talk to your client and tell them where you're coming from. And you also need to be prepared to lose the entire opportunity, that you need to prepare yourself that they may pull the opportunity to do the endorsed mailing for you off the table. And candidly, I was. The other thing I think you need to do is this person in this situation, I think you need to speak with the person of influence directly. This isn't something where you type up a quick email and say, I don't want to do this. I believe you should have a conversation with the person, explain why there's a conflict, explain where you're coming from, and that's the next thing you should do. Be honest and explain your conflict. And once you get to that point, I mentioned this before, don't say, for those reasons, I can't do this job. That takes away your power. Say something along the lines of, I need to decline this opportunity for those reasons, or something to that effect. Then I think you need to thank the person for understanding where you're coming from. And finally, number 7, you need to be firm. Once you've set that out there, once you've, for the lack of a better word, drawn the line in the sand, and said, you are going to decline that opportunity. Going back to what Rob said to me, you need to be prepared for the consequences. They could say, well, too bad. You're going to lose out on everything. And they may use that as a leverage point. If you really object to working on the project, I honestly believe that you need to be willing to walk away. And do you really want to work with that kind of a person anyway? That's the question you need to ask yourself. You may or may not have a problem producing stuff that helps promote that type of practice. And that's fine. From where I sit, my life experiences, the people who are important to me and their shared background with me and their efforts and their life's work, really. When I look at all of those things, it was an easy decision for me to make. So what happened? So I picked up the phone and I called my client and we had a conversation, and I pretty much, and here's another tip for you. If this is going to be a difficult conversation, and they are, and these things happen, write a script. We're voiceover people. We know how to work from a script. Write out your notes. Make sure that you cover everything that's important to you. That way, because there's emotion tied with this, because there's fear, you don't know how the other person's going to react. To help you with your conversation, there is nothing wrong with writing out some bullet points, some copy points to work from when you're having that conversation. I did, because I wanted to make sure I hit everything I wanted to hit. So I picked up the phone, and this person is very, very busy. And they said, I'll call you at 4. Right at 4 o'clock, I got the phone call and I said, hey, what's going on? And I explained the situation to them. And the conversation couldn't have gone better. The client said, John, this sounds like times when we get requests for us to work on certain types of cases. And we say, sorry, we can't help you. So even they choose their own clients. They're very selective with whom they want to work. That was so empowering to me. It was a great conversation, and I think the client, hear this, I think the client respected me more as a result of having the conversation. Because they said, you know what, I really appreciate you calling, because here's what I didn't want to have happen. I didn't want the client to hear from this other prospective person saying, hey, Melly doesn't want to help me out and yada, yada, yada. I didn't want my client to hear about this that way. I wanted them to hear about this directly from me. And the client said, thank you for calling me. They were perfectly fine with me saying, for that type of work, you can decline it. And if they get up in your face, just say, listen, I've had a conversation with them already. They're cool with it. Sorry, we're going to decline this opportunity. As far as I know, the endorsed mailing is going to take place next month, and we'll see what happens. So really quickly, here are the 7 things you should do. Number 1, determine how much of a conflict there is. Search your soul. Talk to people who your decisions may impact. Number 2, bounce the situation off an impartial, trusted advisor. Number 3, speak with the person of influence directly. Don't send an email. Number 4, be honest and explain your conflict. Number 5, don't use the words I can't, because that takes away your power. Say something to the effect of, for these reasons, I need to decline this opportunity. Number 6, thank the person for understanding. Number 7, be firm in your decision and whatever outcome may happen as a result of your decision. And the bonus, number 8, work from a script if you have to. So those are some of my thoughts on how you can handle projects that go against your morals, your values, your ethics. It will probably happen, and I wish you every luck in sorting those things out for you. And if you've been approached to do a project that kind of conflicts with how your gut reacts to something, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a message, make a comment on this episode at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com/episode 17. I would love to hear from you. Next week, I think we're going to do another solo episode, and I may discuss with you the idea that I had in a coaching call with a client of mine on the paper plate mailing. Something I haven't tried personally, but I think it's a nifty idea. So good that I want to share it with you next week. Well, that's it for this episode of the Voice Over Marketing Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to it at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com so you'll get notices of new episodes, and please share it with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover world. Also, it would be a huge help if you'd like this podcast and rate it on iTunes to help keep it near the top of the list. Feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode and future topics you'd like discussed at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. And if you'd like more information on one-on-one coaching with me and mastermind group opportunities where we focus on growing your business, feel free to drop me a line at my cyber assistant's email address at mike@johnmelly.com. Thanks for listening. Now go out there and share your voice with the world.